it appears that Jose Suleiman is working out a fight between Pitbull Cruz versus Dalton Smith. Yes, that is the rumor. The rumor is that Dalton Smith does not like what he's getting paid for the Subriel Matias fight based on Puerto Rico and the conditions that have changed everything and the whole dynamics of the fight have actually shifted who's going to get paid more, who's going to get paid less, since Fresh Production Boxing actually dictated the terms by putting the higher purse bid. They are paying Dalton Smith less, and it seems like Dalton Smith does not like what he's actually getting paid. So the fight with Suleiman is actually working something out with the WBC because Turki Al-Sheikh and Eddie Hearns were not happy with the deal from Puerto Rico, and it seems like it's possible that they're going to shift the card where Subriel Matias does not fight Dalton Smith due to the economics, where he's not going to get paid what he was going to get paid if he was to fight in England or Saudi Arabia. So Turki Al-Sheikh and Eddie Hearns' Matchroom were not really happy with them winning the bid. Fresh Production Boxing in Puerto Rico, Subriel Matias promoter. So it changed the dynamics and the economics of the fight, where Subriel Matias would get paid a lot more than if he would have fought in Saudi Arabia or England, and Dalton Smith is going to get paid a lot less probably because of it. And that's the rumor that the WBC, Jose Suleiman, is gonna work in cahoots with Eddie Hearns in Saudi Arabia because it's all about the money. So what they're trying to do is make a fight between Pitbull Cruz and Dalton Smith instead of Dalton Smith versus Subriel Matias. But the news that I'm hearing is that they're gonna make the puello fight to replace the Dalton Smith fight in Puerto Rico. That would sell. That would sell a lot. And if that is the case, then whatever strings Turki Al-Sheikh and Eddie Hearns have pulled to make the Dalton Smith versus Subriel Matias fight under their condition, they're actually pulling the strings to most likely make a fight between Dalton Smith and Pitbull Cruz, using the WBC as a scapegoat to get what they want and to get the money that they want accomplished for Dalton Smith being with Matchroom and in cahoots with Turki Al-Sheikh. They're both partners. So I feel like they are trying to retaliate to Subriel Matias promoter, because Subriel Matias promoter, Fresh Production Boxing in Puerto Rico, won the purse bid, 1.9 million they put up, and Eddie Hearns' Matchroom only put up 1.7 million. Only, it's still a lot of money, but they didn't put more money than Fresh Production Boxing. Subscribe to that channel. Tony also knows boxing. Yeah, let me read the comments. Frontline, Tony Chat Familia. What's going on, my brother? Frontline, #1 fan. Eddie don't want his guys to get paid shit, but he likes to pay his opponents shit. Hey, all I know is that Eddie Hearns wants to dictate where the fight takes place, and Turki Al-Sheikh also wants to dictate where the fight takes place and who promotes the event and who's in control of the event. And I believe they're in cahoots with each other. They're both partners, and it's basically a money scheme where, okay, maybe Dalton Smith wasn't going to get paid more than Eddie Hearns, of course, and Turki Al-Sheikh, but he's going to get paid more if he fights in England or Saudi Arabia than Puerto Rico. I believe that is true. That is a great possibility. So even though you're saying that, Frontline, at the end of the day, since he is under the promotion of Matchroom, Eddie Hearns fight Dalton Smith, they're going to try to make Dalton Smith get paid more money than Subriel Matias if they control the conditions and the place where they're going to fight. Like they were going to originally have the fight in Saudi Arabia, and then I guess Turki Al-Sheikh gave the ball to Eddie Hearns thinking he was going to win the purse bid, which he didn't, and have him fight in England, Dalton Smith. But that didn't work out. So if it would have worked out that way, Dalton Smith would have got paid more money than what he's getting paid fighting in Puerto Rico. I think that's a possibility. And the rumor is, I saw it in the Spanish channel, Boxeo Urbano, and I also saw it with with El Filósofo del Boxeo, Damian Ferrer. He's a good brother. I follow him, and they were alluding to that taking place. It was more Cesar from Boxeo Urbano was alluding to the fact that Jose Suleiman is working on making a deal between Pitbull Cruz and Dalton Smith because Turki Al-Sheikh and Eddie Hearns of Matchroom were upset with the fact that Fresh Production Boxing won the promotional bid and the rights to the fight. So this is like their way to retaliate and take Dalton Smith out of the equation with Subriel Matias in Puerto Rico, because Dalton Smith, supposedly, the rumor is that he didn't like what was being offered to him financially. So it's possible that they can remove Dalton Smith from fighting Subriel Matias in Puerto Rico, since he's the number one contender. They're going to most likely put him against Pitbull Cruz to make more money, because even though Pitbull Cruz is not a champion and Subriel Matias is a way better fighter than him, the money that he can make with Pitbull Cruz and Dalton Smith it'll be more money, because more people will want to see a fight like that. But I think more people will want to see a fight between Matias and Pitbull Cruz. Who the hell is Dalton Smith? Who the hell is Dalton Smith? The only reason why he's he's in a position like this because he has a big boxing promotion behind the Matchroom. But other than that, no one knows who he is. They only know about him because he rudely interrupted the post-fight interview with Subriel Matias after he beat Alberto Puello. So the rumor is that Alberto Puello is a possible fight for Subriel Matias to make his first defense of his WBC belt in Puerto Rico, which will actually sell and make a lot of money. Or I don't think they're going to make it in New York. I think they're going to make it in Puerto Rico. They won the purse bid. I don't know. There's a possibility. All right. Rest in peace, Big Kirk. Eddie don't want... Okay, you already read that. Penguin Kid, what's going on? Thanks for tuning into the channel. Subscribe to the channel. Frontline, Facts, Penguin Kid. Ron G. Tots and Pears. Thanks for tuning into the channel. Subscribe to the channel. Tony also knows boxing. Don't be afraid to subscribe and listen to the truth and embrace what I'm talking about, because I'm trying to give you the most up-to-date current information. We got Keith One Time Thurman. He's going to fight Fundora October 25th. That's exciting. Who do you guys have winning that fight? I mean, I could never count Keith One Time Thurman out, but I think that Fundora's going to beat him. He's just too he's too big, too powerful, too consistent, and he's looked good in his last fight, especially with Tim Tszyu. But I will never sleep on Keith One Time Thurman. There's always a possibility for him to win and create an upset. I'm rooting for Keith One Time Thurman. Don't get it twisted. If they fight, I'm going for Keith One Time Thurman. But I believe that Fundora will be too much for him. And, you know, he's been inactive. He hasn't fought. He's been inactive for a long time. 2022. Since 2022, he only had 2 fights. So, you know, you have to be consistent, because when you're rusty in the ring, it affects your timing. And I believe that his timing has to be on point. Hopefully that he makes up for all that time that he hasn't been in the ring, and he could shake off the ring rust. But fighting somebody like Fundora, after not fighting that many times, only 2 times since 2022, is a testament of Keith One Time Thurman's courage and belief in himself. And it's also money. You know, there's a lot of money involved. So that fight got a lot of money involved. So you know Keith One Time Thurman is going to take the fight. But I don't think he's just fighting for the money. He really wants to win the fight. I believe Keith One Time Thurman always brings his A game. He always comes 100% for the fights. So he's not just doing it for the money. He's definitely doing it for the legacy and to make up for all that lost time that he's been having surgery and getting injuries constantly. And he believes that the reason why Fundora was able to fight Tim Tszyu is because he got injured, and that gave him the opportunity to take the fight when he was supposed to get the fight with Tim Tszyu the first time, and he was supposed to get you know, another opportunity, but then Tim Tszyu, he got injured again, and then Tim Tszyu fought Fundora again, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, that's what's going on. But I believe that Subriel Matias, hopefully they work out the deal with Dalton Smith fights in Puerto Rico against Subriel Matias. But if they don't work it out, they got a better fight with Puello versus Subriel Matias in Puerto Rico, and it's going to do a lot more numbers. But either way, Subriel Matias is still going to sell with Dalton Smith because he's pretty popular in Puerto Rico, and I think that he's gained a huge following, and he's starting to show his presence, and he's the face of Fresh Production Boxing, and they're gonna keep growing with Subriel Matias being the face, and then they're gonna add more fighters in the undercard from Puerto Rico to help the boxing prospects out of the island of Puerto Rico, to help Puerto Rican boxing flourish the way it needs to, and that's happening. So yeah, so what do you guys think? Do you think that the fight between Dalton Smith and Subriel Matias is going to be replaced with Puello and Subriel Matias because what happened in the negotiations, the purse bid? Fresh Production Boxing put $1.9 million and won the purse bid against Matchroom. So do you feel like Turki Al-Sheikh and Eddie Hearns, that those rumors are true, that they're actually upset that they can't have their way and can't control the narrative or the fighting conditions of where they're fighting because they didn't win the purse bids? And it makes sense. I feel like since they couldn't control the fight itself, they didn't put enough money to have rights to the fight. It affects their leverage. They don't have the leverage that they thought they were going to have if the fight would have took place in England or Saudi Arabia. So I believe that's a possibility that the WBC, Jose Sulaiman, can actually make the Pitbull Cruz versus Dalton Smith fight due to Turki Al-Sheikh's influence and Eddie Hearns' influence, because money talks, and I believe that they will make the money. They will put the money for that fight to happen, and it's kind of like a way to say, okay, since we lost the purse bid, we're going to retaliate by taking out the Dalton Smith rival for Subriel Matias, because they're not paying him what we wanted to get him paid, which was more than Subriel Matias, and we're going to put him against Pitbull Cruz, something that Subriel Matias wants. And Pitbull Cruz wants to fight Subriel Matias. So right there, that lets you know that that is a possibility that could be taking place based on the rumors that I've heard from Boxeo Urbano with Cesar and El Filósofo del Boxeo. So shout out to those people doing the thing. Subscribe to my channel. Tony also knows boxing, but I give you that information because I speak Spanish fluently and I dominate Spanish, so I'm able to get all that information. All these other content creators that don't know Spanish, it takes them longer to get that information, but it's all good. You keep doing what you're doing. Do whatever works for you, but keep speaking Spanish and try to connect with everybody, not just English. So yes, I salute all the boxing content creators, but there's nobody doing it like Tony also. Tony also knows boxing. I'm also going to interview, God willing, Manuel Febus. Yeah. Frontline. Juan Carlos Camacho fights tonight. I know who you're talking about. Yep. Check that out. Thanks for tuning into the channel. Subscribe to the channel. Remember, check out Abisael Cotto on September 12th, the day before Crawford Canelo. And I already made my prediction with Canelo. I think Canelo's going to lose. Crawford's going to win by unanimous decision. He's going to possibly knock down Canelo. And I don't know if he's going to stop him, but if he does, even better. I just feel like a lot of people are sleeping on Crawford. They're undermining him, his accomplishments, and I think that Canelo's going to be in for a rude awakening. And Errol Spence is a better opponent, better champion, more elite than any fighter that Canelo has beaten, because he was pound for pound number 5 in the ranking, and Crawford made him look like he was ordinary, that he annihilated him. Since when did Canelo annihilate a fighter that's supposed to be on an even playing field with him? Never. There were questionable wins. So that's my observation. So yeah, subscribe to that channel. Tony also knows boxing. You're tuning into my channel, and if you don't like what I'm saying, then you can't handle the truth. I got people that respect what I'm saying, and I got people that are hating on what I'm saying. Yeah, that's a good point, Frontline. Number 1, I can see Crawford winning by unanimous decision, but knocking Canelo down, I don't know about that. Yeah. I know. That's why I said I could see him winning by unanimous decision. not knocking him out. I feel like that's more unfathomable. You know, like knocking him out. I feel like it's more realistic knocking him down, because if you look at Crawford's physique, I'm not saying you win fights with muscles, but Crawford has the timing and throws the right punch at the right time, and he could set up Canelo where he can actually time the combination correctly and actually knock him down. I think it's possible, but Canelo does have a strong chin, but he has been down before when he fought Miguel Cotto's brother in the beginning of his career, but that was the beginning of his career. But anything's possible in boxing, but I think Crawford wins by unanimous decision, and if he actually knocks down Canelo, that's going to be even more impressive. But that remains to be seen. I'm rooting for Crawford. I like Crawford. I don't really like Canelo, but I'm giving you my unbiased opinion. I just totally believe that Crawford is the more skillful fighter and he has more tools than Canelo. Canelo's flat-footed. He's one-dimensional. If you really look at him, he's not as fast as like people say he is. All his last 3 fights, he hasn't fought anybody elite. Belanga's not elite. Munguia's not elite. Charlo, he coming up from 2 weight classes. I don't think that he came to win. He came to just get a paycheck just by looking at the way he performed. Canelo knocked him down, but he couldn't knock him out. None of these fighters Canelo hasn't been able to knock out. The last time he knocked somebody out was with Caleb Plant, and that was years ago. So I just feel like Canelo's avoiding Benavidez, and I feel that he is just trying to milk his career off his name, but he's no longer in his prime, and Crawford is the fresher fighter of the two. He's the fresher fighter of the two, even though he's older than Canelo. He is the fresher fighter of the two with less toll, wear and tear on his body. Canelo has more wear and tear in his body. And I believe that Crawford is going to surprise a lot of haters that didn't think he could do it. Yes, I said it. Tony also said it. Tony also knows boxing. Subscribe to that channel. Tony also knows boxing. Don't be afraid to subscribe. And I'll be putting more videos out on the day of the fight. So just remember, stay in tune. Abisal Cotto fights a Mexican guy with 18-3 with 14 KOs, if I'm not mistaken. And Abisal Cotto is 8-0 with 7 KOs. And he's undefeated. I interviewed him 1 time. And I interviewed Yanquier Rivera 2 times. So I plan to get Manuel Febus, who's making his debut on the same night of September 12th, right before the Canelo Crawford fight. So watch that fight as well. It takes place in Puerto Rico, and it's on the 12th on pay-per-view, Puerto Rico. Go to tiquetera.com, and I think you could do it order pay-per-view too as well. So support Abisal Cotto, Manuel Febus, and Stephanie Peñero, who's fighting on the co-main event. And I already told you that the main event is going to be 2 rappers that don't get along. Brian versus Obi. The 2 rappers that don't get along. Brian is from Puerto Rico and Obi is from Cuba, and they're fighting for the first time. So they're using that as the main event to bring more visibility to the undercard and the boxers of Puerto Rico, which I'm kind of 50-50 on that. I feel like they should give more promotion to the local boxers, promote the prospects coming up, but they feel like that's a tactic to focus on the fan base of the 2 rappers that don't like each other getting in the ring boxing for the first time, to bring more visibility to the undercard boxers. But I believe that the undercard boxers are going to they're going to steal the show. Not rob the show. They're going to steal the show. The undercard fighters, Stephanie Peñero, Abisal Cotto, Manuel Febus, and many more are going to steal the show. So check that out, September 12th. And my prediction for Canelo Crawford is Crawford's going to dominate him and win by unanimous decision. If he knocks him down, I wouldn't be surprised, but let's see what happens. I'm rooting for Crawford. Subscribe to that channel. Tony also knows boxing. You're tuning into my channel. Don't be afraid to subscribe. If you want to hear the truth, subscribe to me, Tony also. My channel's growing. Is going to get to 1,000 subscribers. Thanks to everybody tuning in and supporting my channel. It means a lot. All the haters, you can keep hating, but all you're doing is increasing the algorithms. And the people that like and subscribe to my channel is making YouTube suggest my videos more and actually bringing more traction to my channel. And I really appreciate everybody that's keeping that positive energy and keeping that unity And remember, everybody that subscribes to my channel is part of my family, and they're part of Tony Also Knows Boxing. And I appreciate all you guys that are not afraid to follow the truth, and you avoid the imposters, and you always embrace the people that are actually giving you quality, not quantity. So check it out. Subscribe to the channel. Tony Also Knows Boxing. Those are my predictions. Check out the fights. All right. Peace. Don't be afraid to subscribe. Click that like button. Subscribe.